Hello everyone, my name is Bushra Al-Sharouri. Welcome to my presentation on the topic individual social responsibility. The outline of this presentation starts with facts and statistics, moves to two different stories, highlights similarities between them, and shows where were the red flags. Then what we need and how when encountering such red flags. Last is the conclusion at the end of the presentation, and you can refer to references used in every slide. Before I go further into explaining what is individual social responsibility ISR and how to apply it, I will introduce some facts and statistics. The culture in the US is primarily a Western culture. Americans celebrate their individuality in every aspect of their daily life. They care about themselves first and rarely not far than their immediate families. Hofstede's cultural dimension, which is a framework for cross-cultural communication developed by Professor Hofstede, showed the US on the top, scoring 91 as an individualistic country. At the same time, Americans hold strong views about privacy, according to BEW Research Center in 2015. A privacy that is protected by the Fourth Amendment as the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures. So far, so good, as the American dream for a better quality of life comes true. But what if rights are abused and advantages are taken out from moral stances? It could turn to houses of horrors. I will talk about two different stories in two different neighborhoods, but there were similarities and red flags. The first story, a school bus driver in Cleveland, Ohio called Castro started his serial abduction for three ladies in 2002. He held them in his house in Tremont neighborhood for almost 11 years. Women were tortured, raped, and one of the women delivered a baby girl while in captivity. The second story, Terrapin parents child abuse in Monument Park neighborhood, as 13 of their kids aged 2 to 29 were held in captivity. They were chained to beds, locked up, suffered malnutrition, and lived in filthy conditions. Looking at similarities first, just to get familiar on how to be alert to red flags. The two stories took place in a neighborhood, one in Tremont and the other one in Monument Park. Abusers themselves were victims of abuse, as Castro was sexually abused when he was a child, and the Terrapin's mother was sexually assaulted by a family member. Another similarity that there were too many victims and that the torture lasted for long years. So why was it difficult to detect ill behavior in the two neighborhoods? There were unfavorable events taking place for long years. And for a reasonable neighbor, these events should raise red flags. But even if this was true, none of the neighborhoods reported any odds that were spotted. The two stories end with one of the victims escape and call authorities. It was Amanda with Cleveland abduction. Even when she was escaping, people were reluctant to help her. And it was the 17 years of the Terrapins who escaped from the window and called for help. So why was that? Well, the Terrapins' parents were closed off from society, even if they're in their former neighborhood in Texas, as their neighbors testified to reporters. Castro as well made it clear that no one was welcome on his property. That expression for their need to privacy, of solitude for long years by itself is a red flag and is an ill act that needs deep consideration. What is missing? What do we need? We need to build individual social responsibility. That includes the engagement of each person towards the community where he lives, which can be expressed as an interest towards what's happening in the community, as well as in the active participation in the solving of some of the local problems. This is according to www.isrworld.org, and it's attached to this slide. Before building ISR, a better understanding for social nature is needed, from schools and sports team to the military and healthcare institutions, as Professor Lieberman at UCLA states in his book, Social: Why Our Brains Are Wired to Connect. He explains why social connection is as important as food and shelter, and puts social needs on the bottom of our hierarchy needs, defying Maslow's, and says that our school system says to turn off that social brain. You can view a YouTube video as well for the professor, and it's attached to this slide. How ISR should work. As privacy is much valued and individuality is the core value in the American culture, it would be perplexing on how to apply individual social responsibility. I propose to borrow Aristotle's golden mean ideology. How that works. A balance of ISR, social behavior is required. People with an axis of ISR are privacy invaders, while people with deficiency of ISR are bystanders. As privacy invaders intrude into others' privacy, bystanders choose not to intervene, assuming others present will take action. None would help to prevent the ill behavior from happening. Privacy invaders could be sued by law. Bystanders just watch and walk away. So, as Aristotle said, find a moderate position between those two extremes, and you will be acting morally. To sum up, when rights are abused and advantages are taken from moral stances, hostile events will take place. Events that are worsened with time passing without detection. Individuality and privacy became part of a culture that is uneasy to surrender. What we need is to build social skills in a young age, and we need to improve our social responsibility as active individuals in our communities. This is a works cited slide for other resources used for your reference. And end of my presentation. Thank you for listening.